Welcome in, guys. This is the Set It Off Network. I am your host, Michael Set It All. Today is February 7th, day of our Lord, 2025, and it's one of my favorite shows that I like to do every single year. It is the LSU Baseball Preview. Former baseball player, super excited to say the least about baseball season coming around. And it feels a little bit more special being that like football was kind of a letdown this year. I say kind of, it was, but probably a lot of you guys are like me, man. Basketball stinks right now. Football season didn't end the way we needed it to, and we're just craving for some LSU baseball. And it is almost here. We are a week away from the date, and if you guys have been living under a rock, or maybe you just don't follow LSU baseball until like the season starts, right? Most people have lives. Personally, I don't. So, you know, if you've been keeping track, you know that Jay Johnson and the boys have been putting together classes, recruiting classes, transfer portal classes. They finished number one in the country in a high school recruiting class. That's with guys going to the MLB. And they finished number one in the incoming transfer portal class. So this roster, you go and look at this roster, and my goodness, you see future big leaguers everywhere. Everywhere. Like this might be the deepest, most talented roster that Jay Johnson's ever had. Like, and that's talking about a team that had Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz on it. But that team wasn't as deep. You know, this team, I think you could play 15 position players and you would finish with the same exact record. Like, you can rotate so many people in and out of this lineup and be effective that there is not a situation that is going to come LSU's way this year that they don't have the guys for. I'm not saying they're going to execute and win in those situations, but there is not a situation that is going to come about where it's like, we lost the game because we couldn't do this part of the game of baseball right. You know, like if they wanted to go defensive, they can go defensive. If they wanted to go speed, steal some bases, they can do that. If they want to hit bombs, they can do that. If they want to, hit 20 doubles in a weekend, they can do that. Like this lineup is going to be so filled of variety of type of players, if that makes any sense. Like, this lineup has the stars, it has the utility guys, it has the guys that are going to be just in there for defense. It has everything you could possibly need. Like, Jay Johnson has constructed this roster to win in any type of situation that they come about, to make sure whatever happened last year doesn't happen. As you guys know, LSU baseball last year did not finish the way anybody wanted it. Started off super slow, 3-12 in conference play, including 2 sweeps, getting swept at Tennessee and swept at Arkansas. You finished the year 43-23. You made a tremendous run at the end of the season to the SEC championship in the tournament. You make it to the regional final in North Carolina and end up losing after a brilliant performance from a guy you had no idea it was coming from in Will Helmers. But at the end of the day, you lost that baseball game, and you have looked at 2 of the last 3 Jay Johnson years. You have made it to that regional final game and haven't been able to get over the hump to get to the regional, or the super regional. And obviously you throw the national championship in the middle of those 2. But LSU fans are looking for more of that consistency in Omaha, right, to become one of those programs like Tennessee that, is in Omaha every single year, maybe not even winning it, but just being there, getting there every single year is the expectation here. So let's talk about a little bit about this roster. Some of the new guys that you might have not heard of, you might have been hearing a ton about so far. And I want to start off with outfielder Chris Stanfield. A lot of people are going to remember the name. A lot of people are going to remember the face, because this dude's been playing SEC baseball for like 4 or 5 years now. And he comes out of Auburn, a outfielder, played center field for them, batted leadoff, like a tremendous player, a good utility guy, super good on the bases with his speed, a great glove in the outfield, just a well-rounded, experienced baseball player that LSU added in Chris Stanfield out of Auburn. And then we move to one of probably the star of the transfer portal class, I would say, and that is Daniel Dickerson. Daniel Dickerson was unbelievable in his years in college. He came out of Utah Valley, and I know a lot of people are like, "Wow, this kid is this good?" And he come out of yes, he is legit that good. He's probably going to play a lot of second base, could play some shortstop, but this kid was ranked the number 2 transfer portal player in the country. At 2 seasons at Utah Valley, hit .369 with 27 homers. He was amazing. He was all first team WAC, batted .363 last year with 18 home runs. This dude can play. He is going to be one of the top juniors in the MLB draft. I believe he's a top 50 junior in the country right now, and that's without even playing this season. And so that is for sure a name to keep. I think he's plug and play, day one starter. I think he's going to end up being the leadoff hitter as well. Daniel Dickerson, a guy that you 100% need to keep an eye on, because that dude is going to play. He's going to play a lot. Another one that a lot of people are talking about is Luis Hernandez. Luis Hernandez come out of Indiana State. Indiana State is a traditional good baseball program. They hosted a super regional a couple years ago that they didn't host technically. It was weird. It was like I don't even remember what the issue was, but it was like some type of event was going on wherever they are, and they couldn't host because they didn't have like hotel rooms and stuff. And so, but Indiana State, a traditional good baseball school, and a guy in Luis Hernandez who DH, first base, catcher, can kind of play any of those 3 positions. Out of Puerto Rico, he is a senior, but this dude rakes. Like, this dude was awesome last year. He was absolutely unreal. Like, he was, and a lot of people see like the hitting numbers and stuff like that. Like, this dude hit 23 home runs last year, like with a .359 batting average. Like, he was legit. But people don't understand, like, this dude was a first team all defensive team selection at the catcher first base position. Like, he was awesome. So it's like, a lot of people plugged him in as like, oh, he's going to be the primary DH. Like, he's going to catch a lot. Like, I got a feeling he's probably going to be the day one catcher. But we're going to talk all about that towards the end. But a guy, Indiana State, .359 last year, 23 homers, like a dude that is going to be in LSU's lineup way more times than he is not in LSU's lineup. So we're going to move to the pitchers now. And the first guy I want to talk about is Anthony Aitkenson, all right? A guy out of San Diego, a transfer, so good last year. He was one of the best pitchers in the country. He was 6-2, 3.07 ERA, and a lot of you guys are going to say again, the whole he's at San Diego thing. It is what it is, but his game translate, and he is the number 4 ranked college transfer coming in. So we've already talked about the number 2 guy and Daniel Dickerson, and now you add the number 4 ranked transfer coming in for this season. Number 87 ranked junior in as far as like the perfect game MLB draft projections. So like, this guy's got the talent to play in this league. It's just all about putting it together. I got a feeling he'll probably work his way into that starting rotation at some point, because the talent is 100% there. It's just a matter of kind of like putting things together with him, and maybe even that hump you got to get over when you first start playing SEC ball. And let's see, another guy I want to talk about, probably the last guy I'm going to talk about, is Jacob Myers, another pitcher, a guy from Sandoval. He went to Nichols, and he was awesome. Led the country in strikeouts, like legit. Like, led the Southland Conference in strikeouts. He had 106 strikeouts. Opponent's batting average was 165, so he misses barrels. His biggest issue, obviously, with the big strikeout guys is the walks. If he can manage to fix that issue, this dude's a back of the bullpen guy, and he is your lights out, shut down guy coming out the pen. This dude has a lot of experience. He is also on the top 100 juniors list. He is ranked 81st on that list. He was the number 17th ranked transfer edition. So the talent's there, right? The talent for Jay Johnson and the guys is there, and there's just going to be so many things that they're going to have to iron out here early in the year, because they have so many players, they have so many pitchers. I think the pitching staff is far and above right now where the offense is. Not saying the offense is going to be bad by any means, but just like from a fundamental, like these are our guys type thing, I think the pitching staff is more determined at this point in time. Like the lineup is going to change so much between now and the first SEC game, and the pitching staff probably is going to change a bit too, but not as much. Like you have guys like Chase Shores that you're going to rely on. You have guys like Anthony Averson and Zach Cohen, who's going to be a back of the bullpen guy. Cade Anderson, who is the star freshman from last year, who's probably going to move into that starting role. Gavin Guidry, another guy who has tons of experience closing baseball games. So you have guys that you can count on, that are going to be there when the lights are the brightest, and it's all about kind of figuring out where everybody fits in the pitching staff, more as like who is going to be a part of that rotation. The lineup is what everybody wants to talk about. And I got to tell you, the lineup is the most trickiest thing that we're going to talk about, because this lineup is going to be so deep. It's going to change so much. Like, Jay Johnson has proven over the last 2 or 3 years, like, he uses the first couple weeks to, like, tune up. Like, he is using different guys in different spots. He is playing a lot of players, and that's what's going to happen this year. So don't get discouraged if somebody you heard about who had a tremendous fall, tremendous whatever, is not in the lineup like day one, because the opening day lineup is not going to look anything like the first game of SEC play lineup. And that is all I care about, because that is where it really starts and the season really starts. Like, LSU can go through this non-conference phase and they can play whoever they want, because they just have better talent and they're going to be better than a lot of teams they play. But this is a time for people to get their feel, and, the competition is there for sure, because if you want to be in this lineup, you're going to have to produce. And I know Jay Johnson could be looking for specific things from certain guys, maybe not like, the gaudy numbers, like, the guy who's going to hit 330, maybe the guy who's going to hit 270, but he's going to give you a great at-bat every single time, and he's going to do what it takes to win, because that is what Jay Johnson is here to do. He is here to win baseball games. LSU wants to win baseball games, and however you can help contribute to that is how you're going to get in the lineup, right? So let's go through the lineup and what I think and what I've been hearing, all right? Because unfortunately, as a lot of you have figured out on Twitter, I have not been to none of the scrimmages. I have not been to any of them. I don't live in Louisiana. It is kind of tough for me to get to the baseball scrimmages. But I hear a lot, I watch a lot, get a lot of info from other people who have been to the scrimmages, and it definitely helps me with my narrative and how it's going to work out. So I want to start talking about this freshman class. The number one freshman class in the country, and I think it starts with two guys, right? There's two guys that are going to make an impact on this lineup day one, and it's Cade Aaron Beatty, catcher, all right, who's huge, by the way. Like, this kid's huge. Like, I've seen him, and the kid's bigger than a lot of the college. Like, you would not know that this kid was like 18 years old or however old he is. He looks like he's 40, like, legit. And then you have a guy who looks like he's 12, but is an absolute stud, and Derek Curiel, and he is going to take an outfield spot at some point this year. Like, there's no doubt in my mind, like, if this kid was voted the preseason SEC Freshman of the Year, which is kind of crazy to think. one of the highest ranked recruits to make it to campus. Since Jay Johnson has been here, he is the number one player in the top 75 freshman list from Perfect Game. Like I said, named SEC preseason freshman of the year. He batted 388 in the fall. Like, this dude is crazy good. Like, and he is going to make his way in the lineup. So, like, this is what I was talking about. Like, if this guy doesn't crack the lineup day one, all right, he's going to play in the first game most likely. If he doesn't start day one, like, don't throw your hands in there like, oh my God, what does Jay Johnson do? Like, Jay Johnson knows what the hell he's doing. Like, this man's been doing this way longer than you have from your couch. He's been doing it way longer than I have. And I think he knows this baseball team more than you. So don't get discouraged if, you see guys that have more experience playing at the beginning, and then he slowly works these guys in. Kind of like Stephen Milam last year. Like, Stephen Milam was the true freshman, but you saw him not step into that role until about the middle SEC, and then you saw him thrive, right? Because Jay Johnson has his ways, and we're not going to disturb his ways because what he does works. Another true freshman on the pitching side of things, William Schmidt. William Schmidt, I think a lot of people have already heard this name before. The number one right-handed pitcher in the country. Like, yeah, like legit could have been a top 20 pick in the MLB draft. But he kind of came out and said, like, hey, I want to go to college, and if you're not going to offer, the max, like, I'm not coming. And so he is the number 4 rated freshman on that Perfect Game top 75. Gosh, he was so good. He was the 16th overall prospect in the 2024 MLB draft, like number 16 overall prospect, not like 16th overall pitcher, overall, like with college players, with high school players, with transfer, like everybody included, 16th overall. So the fact that you got talent, like you got talent, like dude can sling it. All right, he's a 95-96 from the right side with one of the best curveballs that you are ever going to see out of a high school kid. All right, the spin rate is MLB level, top tier MLB level. The kid had a .44 ERA with 102 strikeouts and 63 innings at Catholic, and obviously won a state championship because, like, who the hell is hitting that in high school? So William Schmidt, like another one of those guys where maybe not the first couple weeks you're like, man, I wish this dude would get a bigger role. And by SEC play, you look up and like he is a major contributor. That could be the possibility with him. So let's talk about guys we do know, right? If you're watching this and you're like, well, what about the players that have been there? Well, yeah, we're going to talk about them. Like, Jared Jones is where it all starts, right? The Bear is back. The biggest addition in the offseason for Jay Johnson was 100% keeping Jared Jones in school and somehow convincing this man not to go to the MLB after he had 28 home runs. And yeah, like that is your team. Like, that is the guy you built this thing around. Like, this dude is your day one 3-4 hole hitter. Like, he's awesome. And I'm super excited to see how he has gotten better with another year of Jay Johnson working with him, maybe even cutting down on the strikeouts. Like, he was super good last year at managing the strike zone, and it just makes it a pain in the butt to pitch to him because he is huge. He is intimidating looking, and I'm just really glad that I don't have to pitch to him because I would not do well. Guys like Stephen Milam, the monster, coming back for his sophomore season after a tremendous freshman year, a tremendous end of the year. Like, we're talking about this dude hit, 2 walk-off homers in the last week of the season on the SEC tournament against South Carolina, and then the Wofford game, I believe the opening Wofford game, he hit 2 walk-off home runs in the postseason, which, like, as a true freshman, like, who the hell is doing that? So, like, you have guys returning, you have the good mix of freshmen, you have the good transfers coming in, you have a guy like Jake Brown coming in, sophomore, who has taken over that that like leadership role. I think in the outfield, who's going to be a major contributor. But it's going to be tough, man. It is going to be tough to get in this lineup and then stick in this lineup because we haven't even started talking about like everybody who is on this roster. Like we haven't even gotten to the meat of this thing, and just looking up and down this team is just like is going to be feasting. Like we are literally having conversations about Ashton Larson not being in the starting lineup, and the kid was one of your best players last year, like legit, and a freshman all SEC team. All right, the kid hit 298. All right, he hit like 360 in SEC play, or 337 in SEC play. Like literally, him hitting was kind of what jump started you towards the end of the year. Like he in that Auburn series went 6 for 13, 462. In the Missouri series, he went 5 for 10 with a homer. He was crazy. He was unreal. Like, and we are having legit conversations about like this kid not being in the lineup. Like this kid was awesome last year, and we are having real. You want to know how talented this team is? We are having real conversations about this kid not being in the starting lineup for LSU this year. Like this lineup is going to be so crazy. So now that we kind of got a feel for the roster, we haven't even talked about the pitchers. God, this is going to be crazy. Because you have guys like Chase Shores who missed last year, who are probably going to be like your Friday night guy this year. You have guys like Cade Anderson who were awesome last year, who struggled a little bit in SEC play, but have obviously taken that leap forward and are going to be major contributors to this team. And we're going to kind of break it down. We're going to kind of talk about what the expectation is for this LSU team. We have predictions out there. We're going to take a look at the schedule, and we're going to let you know here in a second what we're thinking, because this LSU team can be special. They got to put a lot of things together. It's going to take some time. I don't think it's going to be like a day one, like we got the dudes to win it all. And obviously in this league, you know, shit hits the fan really quick. And if you aren't ready to take some punches and take your lumps in SEC play, because there's going to be some bad weekends, and you just got to move past them, and you have a tough schedule like you do every year. Like it's not going to get any easier. So you've got to figure it out, and this team's got to figure it out, but they got plenty of time, they got plenty of talent, and they got a great head coach. So that being said, let's talk about the schedule, right? The schedule is actually pretty favorable. Like if you think about SEC baseball schedules, the schedule is pretty favorable, right? You have Missouri on this thing. Your away games are Texas, Oklahoma, Auburn, A&M, and South Carolina. So you look at that, right? You just talk about the road series, because that is where the games are, or that's where seasons change, right? Like what you do on the road in the SEC is how you are going to determine what your season, if you're going to be a middle of the pack team, because we know LSU is going to perform and they're going to be able to win home games. They were able to win home games last year. Not all of them. Not that third Sunday game, but they were able to win home games. They got swept twice on the road, though. And getting swept in this league is detrimental to any success that you're going to have. So you go and look at who they play on the road. And you're like, that's workable. You go to Texas. Texas, a good team. Jim Schlossnagle, first season there. But Texas doesn't seem like a very daunting task at the moment. You have Oklahoma. I don't even know if Oklahoma's not even a baseball school. I don't know what kind of school they are. Women's softball. That's who Oklahoma is. So you go to Oklahoma, walk in the park as far as environment. You go to Auburn, going to be a bottom tier SEC team. You go to A&M, who's the number one team in the country, but A&M is, what are they at that point? I don't know. That's going to be a huge series though. And then you got South Carolina to end the year, like the last series of the year at South Carolina in Columbia, and you get to face Pulmonary, and they're not projected to be a top tier team in the SEC either. So you look at that road schedule, and that's really workable. Like the fact that you get Arkansas, you get Tennessee, you get Alabama, and you get Mississippi State all at home this year, pretty good. So the SEC schedule makers kind of did LSU a solid here, because like that schedule I just listed out is super workable, and it's not like a daunting schedule like you saw last year where you got to go to Tennessee, to Arkansas, to wherever they else went. But you got to go and you just got to work through it, because the schedule opens up. You start off with Missouri. Like, I need 3 games there. Like, let's get off on a good foot. Like, let's not start 3-12 this year. Like, I think that's a big thing. When you look at the success of this baseball program, they get better towards the end of the year. So let's not start as crappy as we do, and then it'll be good all year. Just throwing it out there. That's a possibility. Maybe. I doubt it. Because they like to do this thing where they just like to play like crap at the beginning of the year, and I don't understand it. But the schedule makers did you a solid. Like I said, you open up SEC play with Missouri. Like, sweep Missouri at home, start 3-0, go to Texas, handle your business, and then the meat of your schedule kind of starts. So, like, I'm looking at the schedule legitly. Like, your first 4 series, Missouri at home, Texas on the road, Mississippi State at home, Oklahoma on the road. So let's say you got to sweep Missouri. Missouri sucks. Missouri's going to be the worst team in the league. Sweep Missouri, that's 3 wins. Let's say you lose 2 out of 3 to Texas. That's still 4 wins. That's already more than what you had at the half point of last season. If you can just do that, if you can just take 1 game from Texas after you sweep Missouri, like just boom, just like that, you are a better team than you were last year in the first half, at least. So that the bar is here, all right. Like, LSU just got to be like right here to start the season, because they're gonna figure it out. They have too much talent to not figure it out. But the real question is, like, what is this team's expectation? And I don't think it's that hard. It's to get to Omaha, and it's to compete for a chance at a College World Series title. Like, it's not just showing up to Omaha. It's competing and being there, maybe even in the Final 4 teams. That is the expectation. This team is too good. This team is too deep to even think that not making the College World Series is acceptable, because it's not. And I think LSU fans, if Jay Johnson falls short of that this year, are going to start talking a little bit. Are they going to say, hey, maybe Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz were the reason that happened in 2023? Like, every other year, LSU's fallen short of expectations. I'm not one of those people, but I'm just saying that could be conversations to be had if you start off another year where you struggle in the SEC play, all right, and you have to kind of crawl yourself out of a hole. How does that look? I don't know. I think LSU's gonna have a great year. I think they're gonna be an awesome baseball team. I think they're gonna be right there as one of the top teams in the country, and possibly hosting a super regional, hosting a regional. That's the expectation, and that's what has to happen. For LSU to be successful, they have to win in the regular season, and they need to get off to a good start. So that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed this little breakdown of the LSU baseball season coming up. Hopefully you guys tune in for all the videos we're going to be making. And if you like this video, make sure you drop a like, drop your comment what you think LSU baseball is going to be doing this year. Some names maybe that I didn't talk about. Yeah, man, just let me know. And I will see you guys next time.